There's only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. You are my reflection. There is only one.
Heart Dream and
Thank
welcome. We welcome Mirabai and Steve Bangs as our musicians today and always look forward to their beautiful music. We welcome each one of you. Let us open our service with this prayer. Please join me. Take a deep breath. On this day, we intend to know joy. We intend to be loving and discover truth, to live in the moment, and to remember who and what we are. We commit to release any worry, to deny any fear, to be courageous and forgiving and non-judgmental. We accept our good and allow the universe to supply us. Today and always, we seek to expand our vision and allow others to be who they are, to be gentle with ourselves and with others, and to recognize the love that surrounds us always. For this vision, for this world, for this love, Creator, we thank Thee. Amen.
Amen.
Today is the first Sunday of May, and we celebrate birthdays on the first Sunday. Is there anybody that signed on who has a birthday in May? Just wave at us. Well, what we're going to do is invite Steve and Mirabai to sing happy birthday to all of those who'll be watching this later or are watching at another venue. So at this time, we invite Heart Dream to once again serenade us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friends. Happy birthday to you. And I trust in God. Understand.
So we're going to do I Trust in God, and we would love for you to sing along with us. This is a great song that was written by Ricky Byers and Michael Beckwith.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I am one in the spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I'm one in the spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I trust in God.
Thank you, Steve and Mirabai. Let's turn our attention to today's daily word. Today is Sunday, May 3rd, 2020. And the words for today are world peace. The affirmation is, I contribute to peace in the world. I contribute to peace in the world. When I learn of conflict in my community or in the world, my response may be frustration, sadness, or anger. If I have those feelings, I remember that I am more than merely human. I am a living expression of God, heir to all that God is. I use my divine faculties of wisdom, understanding, and love to create the abiding peace that is my birthright. Centered in divine peace, I realize that every person is as much an expression of God as I am. As differences dissolve in a way that transcends human understanding, I come to know oneness with all the world's people. I let this realization shape my response to every person and every situation. And in awareness of my oneness with all people, my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to peace in the world. Today's scripture is from John 17:22. The glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. And today's words are world peace. We take those thoughts into a time of blessing our prayer requests, the ones that we hold in our hearts, the ones we may share with Silent Unity, or the ones that we can email to Unity Spiritual Community. We're always glad to pray with you. As we draw our attention to these prayer requests, those for our loved ones, for ourselves, and for our world, we look beyond the stories of our lives. We see the truth beneath appearances and find the sacred in each situation. Knowing that each of us is a living expression of God, we affirm that life and love and wisdom are active in each one. We see the divine nature of every person and know that they all have access to God and all that is God. Seeing this deeper truth lets us stand firm in faith as we pray for these people in our lives. No matter how discouraged they may feel, we pray knowing their strength and their power and their wisdom, and we affirm the truth of their being today. And so it is. Amen. So let us prepare for a time of meditation. Relax in your seats. Take a couple of deep breaths. And during this time of meditation, become centered and sink deeply into the core of your being. Allow thoughts and cares to just drift away. And find the peace that is always there, the peace that underpins each moment of every day. We release our preconceptions about what is possible and what is real. We allow ourselves to be lifted into the realm of the unlimited, the mystery and majesty of all that is. We ourselves are unlimited. We extend beyond time and space. We extend into the deepest realm of spirit. So allow yourself to just be, to just float on a great cloud of unknowing, to allow a new, broader vision of yourself and of life to birth itself in you now. The everyday events of our lives take on a new luster, a depth of meaning, as we view them from this expanded perception. We know that there are no inconsequential days, for every moment of every hour shines, sanctified by the interplay between human consciousness and God-mind. In this moment, this eternal now, become aware of your breathing. Feel the seat supporting you. Notice the temperature of your room, the soft sounds around you. Feel the beat of your heart. Lift your awareness higher and realize what a precious moment this is. Become aware of being present in this gathering, on this warm Sunday morning in spring, joined by your companions in this spiritual community. God is here. This moment is made sacred by our awareness of its unique existence in time and space. As we come into a greater awareness of each holy breath, let us rest for a time in the silence. Sweet Spirit, let us not fall asleep to the knowing that each step in our journey resonates with your presence. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, God. Amen. Now we invite HEARTDREAM to sing another song.
Oh, sing, my heart, sing. Let my eyes gaze within thee upon my soul, upon my soul. I am you, you are me, truth and love eternally.
And today we are going to continue our overview of Lessons in Truth by Emilie Cady. We're drawing upon material from chapters called Thinking, Denials, Affirmations, and expanding upon the concept of creative thought, the creative power of thought. And the title of today's talk is Trouble at the Border. This is a phrase that I learned when I attended the Academy of Coaching Excellence, which is a organization founded by Maria Nemeth in Sacramento. Maria is a very well-known prosperity teacher and author. She's written several books and appeared on Oprah. When you attend her classes, you learn about changing your intent and changing the way you live your life. And the one thing she warns us about is trouble at the border. Because what happens as soon as you set your intent is there will be resistance. There will be pushback. If you expect it, if you understand it, then you can be prepared for it and know that it is normal. So we'll be working with this concept, trouble at the border, throughout this talk today. The creative power of thought is called the power of the law of mind action. It is one of Unity's 5 basic principles. Once we know that thought is creative, we need tools to direct our thought consciously. We say thoughts, but it's really beliefs, because the most powerful things that create our reality are thoughts fueled with emotion. Beliefs are thoughts fueled with emotion. The hardest to identify are the beliefs that we think are aspects of reality, not just beliefs. Those that we take for granted is just the way things are. Examples of these kinds of beliefs are that germs cause disease, that death and taxes are inevitable, that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and the ever-present, it's always something. Cady covers denials before she covers affirmations. This is a recommended unity practice. It's like pulling the weeds from your garden before you plant new seeds. It's suggested that when you make a denial, you make it gently, as if you're brushing away cobwebs. Examples of 4 denials from Lessons in Truth are: there is no evil, there is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence anywhere, pain, sickness, poverty, old age, and death cannot master me, for they are not real. And there is nothing in all the universe for me to fear, for greater is he that is within me than he that is in the world. Affirmations are made with present tense statements saying I am, not I will be. And repetition causes transformation. We can write them, we can say them, we can sing them, we can post them on our bathroom mirror, and we often do. Examples of affirmations from Lessons in Truth include: I'm a child or manifestation of God, and every moment of his life, love, wisdom, and power flow into and through me. I am one with God and am governed by his law. I am spirit, perfect, holy, harmonious. Nothing can hurt me or make me sick or afraid, for spirit is God, and God cannot be sick or hurt or afraid. I manifest my real self in this body now. In Matthew 9:17, Jesus said, "Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. Otherwise, the skins burst, and the wine is spilled, and the skins are destroyed. But new wine is put into fresh wineskins, and so both are preserved." The relationship of denials and affirmations expressed with that symbology is that denials create the new wineskins, a container for new beliefs, for the affirmations. There is a technique that I like to use with affirmations that I learned in The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and this is called blurts, B-L-U-R-T-S. Blurts are the negative self-talk that comes up in response to saying an affirmation. An example would be, an affirmation is, "I am a channel for God's good." And immediately the blurt comes up and says, "You? Who? You? Maybe if you weren't so lazy, because you certainly haven't demonstrated it." And when you allow yourself to pay attention to that blurt, to see what is really coming up from your mind, what beliefs you are holding that you haven't looked at consciously yet, you can then create a new affirmation, one that will counter the blurt. A new affirmation like, "I have boundless energy and motivation to demonstrate God's good." Now you notice that was a 3-step process. You said your affirmation, you acknowledged the blurt, and then you created a new affirmation that could counter those thoughts, that could deny the thoughts that came up as blurts. That 3 steps is an important concept that we're going to talk about today. Blurts are an example of trouble at the border. For when we challenge our current way of thinking, the old beliefs appear in the form of resistance. This is also connected to an old-timey unity principle that's in Lessons in Truth called chemicalization. Chemicalization for some years was considered a radical idea, and it was actually left out of some of the editions of Lessons in Truth, but it's been put back in now. It was included again because so many people have experienced this phenomenon. So what happens when you start to change? Well, similar to blurts or similar to trouble at the border, Cady uses the example of adding vinegar to baking soda. Stuff bubbles up. This can be compared to putting new wine into old wineskin. But it's more, because it's also physical, because we are bodies, we are beliefs made flesh. So when humans are working on changing themselves and identifying and correcting their beliefs, chemicalization can be experienced as illness. Whether it causes a disease or just sets up the biochemical environment that allows disease. And I think that it can also be experienced as accidents, perhaps because we get clumsy when we're going through chemicalization. And I had an example from my own life. When I was 40 years old, as a matter of fact, the day I turned 40, I woke up for the first time at Unity Village. I went for classes to begin my training as a licensed Unity teacher. And that day I had the worst headache I could ever remember having. It lasted all day long. I think it was chemicalization. I think that going to Unity Village and claiming my path into credentialing and eventually ministry was such a change for me that it brought up that resistance, that trouble at the border. It brought up chemicalization and came in the form of a headache. We are experiencing a really, really big example of chemicalization globally in the form of the coronavirus. We live in the border of an old age and a new age. As we continue to choose new ways of thinking about humankind, about our government, our culture, or our relationship with nature, the old beliefs come to light, and we recognize the changes that must be made. We are a planet in chemicalization now. This is not a bad thing. This is a sign of growth and change and progress. Another way of looking at chemicalization is in the teachings of the Russian author and mystic from the early 20th century. His name was P.D. Ouspensky, and he created a theory called the triad. Here we are back to the same three steps. The first, or active force, initiates the action. The second, or passive, denying force, in some way provides resistance for the first force. That's trouble at the border. And the presence of the third, or a neutralizing force, allows the opposition between the first two forces to be resolved. Sometimes, as the medium in which the other two forces act, this third force could be viewed as chemicalization, could appear as an illness. And sometimes it's an additional factor or an influence, like the third affirmation we create when we're working with blurs. There was another philosopher of the same era, well, he was 100 years earlier, that worked with a similar concept. His name was Hegel. This is called Hegel's dialectic. And it goes in three stages also: thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. The thesis is when you have an idea that you're presenting. The antithesis is trouble at the border. It's the resistance, it's the blurt, it's the chemicalization. And synthesis is when you make those things resolved and you can accomplish your idea. This will be active in your own life when you use certain of Unity's techniques. One of the most common ones is called the grace prayer. There are 2 lines in the grace prayer which will lead you into transformation, and they are: reveal that which needs to be revealed, and heal that which needs to be healed, so that I may glorify God. The first step, reveal that which needs to be revealed, is asking God to reveal what is holding you back. Asking God to reveal what we may have called blurts earlier. And the second step is trouble at the border. Fasten your seatbelt, because the gunk is going to bubble up. And you may wonder why you ever let yourself open for that, when the truth, the beliefs you've been holding, which held you back, start bubbling up, and you face them and you work your way through them. Because the third step is to realize that you asked for it. that God is revealing that which needs to be healed. In summary, we return to what we shared last week, that truth is eternal, that great thinkers and mystics through the ages have had access to truth. We too have access to truth. By studying unity principles, we are giving tools to learn about our inner divinity and achieve mastery of our lives. We are especially blessed in the unity movement by great thinkers and mystics like the Fillmores and Emilie Cady. So I want to close with one of my favorite poems by Hafiz. Hafiz was a 14th century Persian poet and mystic. And this short poem goes like this. The small man builds cages for everyone he knows, while the sage, who has to duck his head when the moon is low, keeps dropping keys all night long for the beautiful, rowdy prisoners. We're going to read it again. The small man builds cages for everyone he knows, while the sage, who has to duck his head when the moon is low, keeps dropping keys all night long for the beautiful, rowdy prisoners. And when you listen to this, remember that these characters all represent parts of yourself. You are the small man. You are the one that has accepted limiting beliefs. You are the sage. You are the Christ within. You are the one who knows the truth and applies it to change your life for the better. And you certainly are a beautiful, rowdy prisoner. You are imprisoned by your own beliefs. And through your expanded understanding, you hold the keys to your freedom. And thus ends the lesson. God bless you all.
We're going to do an original song called Bells of Freedom.
Let's ring out the bells of
so much, everyone. We want to thank everyone for their continued financial support of our ministry. We have been receiving regular donations. Checks can be mailed to our post office box. This is box 2176 in Citrus Heights, 95611. Or if you go to our website, unitycitrusheights.org, there's a donate button that will take you to PayPal. We bless these donations, and we know that they are going forth to do God's work in this world. Thank you, one and all. We have a couple of announcements this morning. The first is we're continuing our quarter drive until we meet again. So collect your quarters and loose change, and when we meet in person, we will do more good in the world with some microloans. The second announcement is my weekly health update. I had many tests this week. I feel like I'm going steady with the lab techs at Kaiser. So far, they all have proved to be negative, but the ones concerning GI troubles have not come back yet, and those are the troubles I've been having. One of the most interesting tests I had was for COVID-19. So I got to go through a drive-through testing station. It was in the lowest level of the parking garage at the Kaiser Hospital. It only hurt a little bit for a little while. You might hear that this test hurts when they put a swab up your nose, but it lasts such a short time that it's not anything to worry about. One of the things I thought was funny and interesting about the whole procedure was when they called me at home to give me the guidelines for coming in for the test. They said, do not bring your dog. Do not bring your dog in the car. And if you consider that they lean in through your open driver's side window and stick this swab up your nose, you don't want your dog in the car. They probably get bit. So I thought that was a hoot. Another thing I want to share with you right now is that I'm not sure we've even recorded this Zoom session. I did some things I shouldn't have done. I tried to put it on Facebook Live, and right now all I can see is one little window of myself talking. I can't see you now. So I apologize. I'm glad that the people who signed on got to experience the whole thing, and Stephen Mirabai. And we'll get back to you later about the real truth, and we will, if it was recorded, make sure that those who were not able to get on or did not have the current meeting ID know where they can see it as a recorded service. For those of you who are regulars, we'll be going back to the old meeting ID next week. It's Lisa's ID. This is my new one, which is why I don't know how to use it that well. I do apologize, and I thank all of you for being here today. So let's invite Stephen Mirabai to lead us in Weave and the Peace Song.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love.
protection. We know that the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you all. Have a wonderful week. We have a little postlude for you now.
All right.
Please join us in singing My God is So Good to Me.
I woke up this morning singing, God is so good. I woke up this morning singing, God is so good. I woke up this morning singing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. I am loving the God within me. God is so good. I am loving the God within me. God is so good. I am loving the God within me. God is so good. My God is so good to me. Every day, in every way, God is so good. Every day, in every way, God is so good. Every day, in every way, God is so good. My God is so good to me. I take the time to praise my spirit. God is so good. I take the time to praise my spirit. God is so good. I'm standing in line at Trader Joe's with a mask on.